Okay, so Dan, your thoughts on Raka versus Swami Bapa? Raka, according to them, they've beefed up enough to be able to beat Swami Bapa, and they feel Swami Bapa is a little bit weak, handicapped, because they've lost 4 senior players. But Swami Bapa have promoted Mitesh Sangani to come and open the batting with Maurice Ouma. And they also have Peter Koech, whom they signed from Nairobi Gymkhana. He mostly played for B, as far as I remember. Is that enough to give Swami Bapa 1 over Raka? Dan.
Mitesh Sangani promoted to open batter. From where? As far as I'm concerned, Mitesh didn't play last season for the team. So first of all, he has been promoted into the team. He has not been even promoting him into opening batsman, is just bombarded him. So I think every move that Swami Bapa making is actually out of desperation. Anyway, Raka, as I said before, they didn't apply themselves. I think the scores, the 260 was so huge for them. And then, seriously speaking, their fielding was they dropped one person, they dropped Shem 5 times, and they also had some midfield. So if they tighten their fielding, and then they come up and hope that the 3 Ugandans are going to justify their selection. Justify their selection is, what have you done differently? Have you traveled all the way from Uganda to come and score 10, 15 and more comfortable? Stay on the wicket, give us those runs, get the ball, give us those wickets. Bowling wise, I don't think, I believe Raka has what it takes to bowl. Maybe the inclusion of the Uganda is just going to be an added advantage to them. But they had a good bowling side. It's only that they were let down by fielding. Batting side, I just hope again the inclusion will stick there for long, get those runs, and drain some Bapa, because if you drain some Bapa, they'll actually have no way to go. Because if it's bowling, Alamek is out. All the burden goes to Nene Odhiambo. Nene Odhiambo, whose last season didn't have a good season. For the last 2 seasons, he hasn't been doing well as far as performance in the league is concerned. So here is somebody who has not been performing well. He's given him that role of leading the team best bowling attack. If you're struggling, they had Lamek, they had Bundi. Now they've gone. You brought in Koech to fill in the shoes of Bundi, to fill in the shoes of Lamek. Somebody that was playing in the B team. And even the B team, we didn't have statistics that we can talk about. So this is a team that has an opening bowler, 2 opening bowlers that have big burden in their back. Coming into spin bowling, I don't know if Malindi is around. If he's around, that's okay. If he's not around, too bad for them. So this is a team that is struggling as far as bowling is concerned. So this is a chance for Raka to sit down, think, this is a team that we can get the scores. If we bat first, can we get to 50 plus? And then let's just get out Ouma, get out Rushab, and the rest things are just going to be. So for me, I think this is time for Raka to be counted. 2 years ago, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, during the NICL 2020, they won. But again, okay, they have those professionals. So they know how big Bapa it is, how they can do it. So for them to apply themselves well and again train Swami and Karatini.
Pamba, do you think it's a good thing that we are importing talent for the NPCA League? Does that show progression or does it show weakness on our part?
It's a good thing that we're getting pros. Of course, they play a specific role. If you just play within yourselves, you would never know how competitive you are against other sides. So when you bring in people from abroad, they bring a different mix, a different style to the game. And also some of them are experienced. They help nurture some of the youngsters you can have in your clubs, and also during the week when they are still around, they help at practice. And it's a good thing. If you look at the history of Kenya, we've grown as a country through professionals, even though those were majority from India and Pakistan in the late 90s and early 2000s. We had a lot of professionals coming from there, and those professionals would work well because the level of cricket in India, of course, was above Kenya by far. It still is. And so every time they come in, they bring in a lot of experience. I've seen that Sri Lanka have recruited somebody from Zimbabwe. There's something, one or two things the keepers around there can learn from that wicket keeper. He had a brilliant outing behind the stumps with 5 stampings and 2 catches. He showed his worth just almost immediately, almost repaid the price they paid for him. And that is good in the long run because it does help to also make the league competitive, and at also the same time it just gives the league value. And of course, you can see these teams are fiercely competing for the title. So it's a good thing that they're coming to play in the league here. I'm not actually an advisor for Raka, but in terms of the pickings they have, I don't know whether they knocked at other doors, because if I was given an opportunity, I'm happy with Zephania Rinaitwe, and I think if he gets going, he can be destructive. In regards to Kenneth Weiss, I'd rather have picked the tried and tested route of I don't know whether this is his brother, but Charles Waiswa, because Charles Waiswa would get me swing. He comes and cuts across as a left-armer, and then his batting is also very handy towards the end of innings. And also, well, I'd rather be able to get another player instead of Brian Masaba. I could go for the old man. What's his name?
Franco.
Yeah, it gets me a lot of wickets, and is a dependable spinner. And also, it will get me runs as and when I need maybe 20, 30 runs to win a specific game, I could deploy him, and I know he can do that business. Or maybe get a Roger Mukasa at the top of the order and get that. But again, we are speaking here, maybe economic terms, maybe those guys could have demanded more, maybe these ones were available, maybe these ones were willing to travel, because we are also in the COVID era where some people might not be comfortable moving out or moving around, and probably getting infected, or they're just afraid for family or personal reasons. They might not do that. We've seen that even across Australia, people didn't travel to West Indies. There have been teams that missing players here and there. So that could have played a part. But still, whatever we've got, also we can work with that. They can work with that. Kenneth Waiswa, good prospect, is a quick bowler who could also do a lot, and it's a youngster. So let's see what's his worth. I might have to eat my words down the line if he does well. So is Brian Masaba as well. I probably would have backed the tried and tested route over these two, but let's see how it goes in the coming weeks.
Yeah. With the, I don't want to call them imports, it sounds so bad. With the professionals coming into the league, Dan, do you think that our league has the capacity to grow? Because it's going to get to a point whereby if you have 2 or 3 local players sitting on the bench because they're making way for a professional to play, that means you also have maybe your 12th, 13th, and 14th. So at some point down the road, of course, the clubs are going to monkey see, monkey do each other. So it's going to go on down the line and round. So we are going to have more professionals coming in to play the NPCA League. Do you think there's room for our league to grow, to accommodate maybe 1 or 2 more teams in the Super League so that it can be more professional, so to speak?
I'll ask this question also. Why are the pros coming? I think the pros are coming because the teams feel they don't have these players to play for them. Because, for example, Sir Ali, just by losing one match, they panicked. And here they've got people coming to play. The talk in Swami Papa's meeting tables is if these borders are going to be open anytime, we'll get our 3 professionals to come. If the borders are not going to be open, how are we going to survive in this league? So the issue here is we are getting these players because we don't have the players to play. Because I remember, Pamba will bear me witness. In the 90s, a club will bring 2 or 3 players. Maximum was about 3, but not every team was bringing professional because they felt we've got players that can do this job. And the team that had professionals could also get in that match knowing if you're not going to put our acts together, you're going to lose. But now teams are panicking. So they include the issue of getting an extra team, the Super League. That would be a good idea. The issue is if you have a player that you feel that this player deserves to play, but because we have a professional that is making it difficult to play, each and every team has an ability. And if you're lucky like Sri Lions, you have even a deal sitting. You can go and play there, justify yourself, come get selected. But despite that, I feel the professionals coming into a league, it should improve a level of the league. Because as far as I'm concerned, this player that has joined Sahali was here 2 years ago. If we compare, it was here in the T20. If we felt that the level of our league, the level of our competition is poor, trust me, he wouldn't have come. We have decided, why don't I go somewhere else? From what I understand, the pros that are coming, that Swami Papa are targeting, are people that have been here for 2 years, Rakesh and Swami. So it's something that they're enjoying. And I just hope that it's going to grow. They're going to make our leagues grow, and they're going to market our league out there.
I think it goes both ways because it's 2021 and it's a global village. Everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to be seen. The players want to be seen. The clubs want to market themselves so that they can get sponsors. And it's happening because when I was playing the league, none of the clubs had professionals coming into play. And now it started with the Lions, then it moved up to a point where by Sir Ali are getting professionals and winning the league. Who would have ever thought then that Sir Ali would ever win the league? No one. So yes, to a point, it's improving the league, and to a point also clubs are playing for pride. And I remember Sangakkara was saying in one of the England matches that in Sri Lanka, the game has grown so much. The game is in all the provinces. But the problem is that you don't hear of these players until they come to Colombo. That is when they get heard of. But then now imagine a player not even going to Colombo. A player is going global. Even if it's Kenya, right now we are reporting the matches. Players will be seen. Do you think it's still a good thing, Pamba? Will it also grow our league to the point whereby we'll even get back to playing the EAPL, or we'll have another T20 franchise?
It is a good thing, Beryl. And if you look at it, that might counter the argument. But look at the IPL. IPL could play with purely Indian players, and they could be still a strong. They could make several strong teams and compete. And if they've chosen also to bring players from abroad, they're having pros from all over the world coming to play in South Africans, West Indians, Australians, New Zealanders coming to play in the league to beef it up, to spice it up. There's something, of course, they bring to the event that maybe just keeping it local doesn't give that. So at times it's important that you get some of these players, because there are times you'll find people are good at a particular thing than others. somebody will come here. If you make good use of them, of course, maybe they could teach you what they are better at. If they're better at spin bowling or they're better at playing spin, they'll probably pass to the youngsters. And one youngster, it doesn't have to be all of them. Even if it's one or two people that have fixed that and moved on. When you take stories from players of the past, they'll tell you, I learned this from Chandrakant Pandit. I learned this from Sandeep Patel. Those are people played in the league. So that does help grow the game, and because those people coming with a different mix, they play spin differently, maybe they play the ball differently. And if you look at even the situation with Kachileva, where Lamek has moved, with this swing bowling, there's at least, I'd love to see maybe in 2-3 years' time, one of those Kachileva players having learned something from Lamek that we could employ in their game and could help the player in their development as they go further ahead. They know how to do what Lamek is good at. And for him, it's like a pro to Kachileva Patel Samaj. So for me, professionals are really key at times as well. Yes, and also in terms of competitiveness, you must say you might be denying one or two players an opportunity to play because you have professionals. But I would want that to be in a way that it actually creates competition within the team. For me to be able to get an opportunity to play, I must perform better so that I get myself a place rather than just it being handed to me because I'm local or because I've been a club member. Let fight for that position. If you can't knock out that pro, then somebody else will give way for you because you're doing better than the other member in the team. So for me, competitiveness, it augurs well for the league.
Dan, this is especially for you. When you are coaching the ladies team, they used to play in the NPCA League Division 2. Then we had Division 3, I think. They stopped playing that for a couple of seasons now. Is that a positive or a negative? And how did it help or not when they did?
I remember that season. I think that was the best thing that NPCA ever did. It gave those girls, I remember when they started, first of all, it was a losing situation every week.
Yes.
They were losing. But what turned up is that they kept on enjoying playing, and also it was a learning experience for them. Because with each match, the way they were losing, come next Sunday, is good performance. Come next Sunday, there's good performance. Because when they started, I remember teams would want to bat first, and no team, each team enjoyed batting, and we only get 6 wickets, get 7 wickets. But come week 4, bat first, trust me, will be all out. Bat first, trust me, all out. Then the girls changed. Now, let's also try and win the toss and bat. And the girls will bat, they get there 30 overs, or you're chasing, you're not bowled out in 20 overs, you're bowled out in 40 overs. So for them, it's something that was good for them. They were able to improve both as a team and individually. And I remember that season, it's 2 years later, they came in and played the World Cup qualifiers. And the World Cup qualifiers in Nairobi was 50 overs. And you could see whatever they were doing when they were playing with the men, they could do that. A situation where by now, we've lost to 3 top order batters, and someone's going to stick on the wicket. I've been doing it against men. Let me just apply the same thing here against my fellow women. And it worked. So, all said and done, it's something that I just hope that the current NPCA office will look at it again and say that, okay, we are planning to give girls to play their own league. Is there a way that we can get these girls to come and play against men? It might be difficult to play Saturday and then you come and play play on Sunday, play 50 overs, might be a tall order. But let them play their matches on Saturday as they're planning. Then when it comes to 20 overs competition, I'll ask NPCA just to give these girls a platform to play. Even if it can be 2 teams, well and good, so that nobody feels left out. If it's 1 team, it's now that when the coaches pick the best performance in that their competition, their league, to come and play. So to answer your question again, it was something that helped the girls and something that I'm looking forward to.
They actually made a semi-final in, I think, 2009. It was the year before they played the World Cup qualifier in Nairobi. Yeah, 2009 or 2010. Because the qualifier was in 2010, and the girls made the qualifier and played at Nairobi Gymkhana. I remember that. And I think it will also be a very good opportunity to play 50 overs cricket. Girls haven't played 50 overs cricket since 2010 was the last time we played the 50 overs internationally. So I think it will be a very good opportunity for the girls to play 50 overs cricket. Of course, if you play 50 overs every now and then, when you come back to play 20 overs, it becomes very easy. So, Pamba, I want to pick on you because of the umpires issue. We are going into the second week without umpires. As we stand, there will be no umpires on Sunday from the Umpires and Scorers Association. Last weekend, we had volunteer umpires standing in. Most of them came from Swami Bapa in the ladies because Swami Bapa had a bye. So I expect this week probably we'll have them from Sikh Union because Sikh Union have the bye, and some of the girls, I can see Dan is smiling. What's your take on the issue? Because NPCA is saying they're ready to come to the table. The Umpires and Scorers Association are saying they're ready to come to the table, but there's nothing solid yet. What's your take on the issue as far as the quality of the league is concerned?
Sad, because they might water down what's proving to be a good league organized by NPCA. Umpires are the adjudicators. We need them to be independent. At the moment, we are having players helping out as volunteers to stand in, players who are also taking part in the same league. So if it was football, you probably have a Gor Mahia player refereeing an AFC Leopards game.
It's so bad.
So it's sad. It's very, very sad because when you have players, we are talking about people who haven't gone through the system, haven't gone through the laws of the game. Not that the Umpires Association has perfect umpires, but at least that's their job. It's something they've been doing over time and they're good at it. And so when you have just players helping out, they end being just helping out. When you looked at them last weekend, a few of them looked here and there. They were not confident. Of course, confidence solidity comes from sound knowledge and experience being in the field there. But these are players who probably thinking about things while they also do umpiring at the same time. So it's an interesting prospect, but I hope that maybe they use this space, the Umpires Association together with the NPCA, to meet up and solve their issues, have some sort of, because the bone of contention here, I think, is debts being owed to the Umpires Association by NPCA, but the current NPCA could argue probably that's not all upon them, but they've inherited an office. It comes with some baggage. There are the predecessors that left some debt with Umpire Association which they need to clear. I think the two chairmen can just sit together around table, agree upon some sort of meet in the middle kind of a situation, and then help the league move forward with proper umpires, because I'd not like to be witnessing that going on, week on, having players standing out to umpire, players whom they're playing with the league and competing against. I'm looking at probably Nema turning up at a game, for example, where Bundi is playing and these have been buddies, they've been working together. A decision comes, they appeal, you want to give a decision against and for, and sometimes it becomes difficult, and especially at times there could be a situation where I am in this league, you've got more runs than I've got runs, and we are competing for maybe the best batsman of future Kenya team selection, because there are games coming up towards the end of the year that being organized, even though they've been rescheduled, but there are games coming up, and I could get you out. So then I go and score my other game and get ahead of you, so that so those scenarios, because they're players. Some of them might want to get even for past misunderstandings and all that. So you really don't, it's not a good place. I'd rather even a situation where even if this wasn't solved, I have sort of ex officio, some old retired players trying a handout in umpiring rather than the current situation where we have players. You can't have people refereeing your game and they're playing the same league with you. It's very difficult. They might give you a wrong decision this week. You'll wait to pay back when your time comes to umpire, because it looks like when you have the buy is when you're umpiring. So you probably be ready to pay back to what happened to you. And something might be just a genuine mistake. It's not something that you wished for. Somebody wished for. Umpires, we make genuine mistakes, but we are there week in, week out. So we don't have to maybe pay something back. We're looking at to minimize our mistakes. But when it comes to players against players, really, that waters down the competitiveness of the league, and also looking at the clubs having spent so much to bring even overseas players that want better decision making on the table, and I believe that can be provided by qualified umpires over a bunch of other players.
Dan, you umpired last weekend. Is that something you would like to continue doing?
For the good of the game and for the continuation of the game, I'd like to do it again. But again, by doing it, there are rules. Cricket, I think it's a big game that you can give out witnesses. Good umpires, with good sportsmen, good in media, fans, scorers. So we came in because we were called in because now, but it's not something that I would like to talk about. Because at times, not that it happened, but sometimes you just feel like you need to go there and support. You need to be critical. Pamba will bear witness. I'm not that kind of a person that will sit 50 of us without not shouting from the terraces. I am somebody that will shout, tell you, come on, we are here to see you score. But there, you are umpiring, you feel like you are jailing. So it's not something that we want to do, and I hope that this statement, this kind of play, and my play now is not even to. Okay, you just mentioned that the clubs, not the clubs, the umpires and association and NPCA are ready to sit and discuss the issue. I think people that now should come and mediate and play like middle at the clubs. Because at the end of the day, clubs have invested to get this process to say, but you fly in, you realize that the umpire who's umpiring the match is a player. Or maybe you didn't know, but you walk in the second match, you realize, come on, we played against this person the other day. You mean he's the umpire. And this guy realized how you hit his head with a bouncer twice. Sure, trust me, you won't say there are two of us. You won't say there are two of us. In fact, even if you talk to the players, pick up. So it's something that I just hope that now the clubs should take a decision and play be in the middle ground and tell them, come on guys, and also it's my prayer. And now this goes to Pamba. I don't know how it is, but from discussions that I got with both parties, I feel I know NPCA income or NPCA accounts are not the best one to talk about. So I believe when people are going to sit on that table, we'll keep that in mind, because I feel for NPCA, those clubs come there, pay 30,000, 20,000, or 50,000 a year. Then you have you play over 30 matches. 30 matches, every match, an umpire will go with, let's assume 3,000. So 3,000 times 30, that's around 90,000, and to give out 30 to 40,000. So I believe it's something that you think about that, and it's my prayer that both parties will sit and decide and think of ways of raising funds, so that the issue is funds. So if NPCA feels that, come on, umpires, we are spending so much on you, is it okay to request to help umpires? Because umpires, as far as I'm concerned, they are an independent body. Find a way that you can raise money, and we can even be paying you, rather than paying you 20,000 for a certain duration, we can be paying you 10 or even 12,000, so that we can't have this issue of pull and push.
My prayer is that no one goes to court. Okay, Pamba.
As far as I'm concerned, those two parties, they had
the corridors
of justice. I'm sure my friend Pamba, Pamba, I know. The only relationship we have with court is just passing from Nairobi club to town.
Correct.
Quick response, Pamba.
We'll not go to court on this one. We'll not go to court on this one. Yes, I do understand that in terms of expenditure on umpires, it's a substantial figure at the end of the day. But I also believe that Umpire Association over time have been very considerate. If you look at some of those debts, they've been 2018, but we still went in 2019 with some debts. They paid us a bit. We went to 2020 and did NICL. We were still owed, and we've been owed for some time. And I believe if they make an offer of a payment plan and be able to resolve some of that, of course, the game would continue. Umpires would want to go back to the field. They're just as prepared as players are prepared to go back to playing, to get to umpire in the league as the players are playing in the league. So I think those are things that, this is not the first time this has happened. It's happened before, and they've been amicably resolved, even though over time, sometimes it's been the part of the tournament organizers who sometimes have not played their part in terms of getting those funds or resources to the Umpire Association as and when they've agreed upon. But I think we will not have a court case on this one, and we should be able to have that amicably resolved. If there's pressure from clubs as well and players that they need proper umpires, then that would happen, because I do not want a situation where players would want to blame other players for what happened. Those are not professional umpires, and especially when matches or pitches get wet because of rain or whatever, those are some of the hardest things umpires do. I do not want to put maybe some of those ladies in situations where they have to make a judgment call whether we are playing this game or not on some pitches or some particular grounds when there's been drizzle and rain. There's times when we've gone a long way. We've had some other clubs have actually had to use charcoal, ban pitches at times. Those are not things that you throw in inexperienced people to handle. Those struggle, really.
You know, I didn't know that you can use either Duckworth Lewis or Duckworth Lewis Tan. I found out the other day. If I was put in a match where it has rained and then I was told to decide, I'll just cry and go home. So as we wind up, I want you to pick one of the teams for all of the matches playing this weekend. Start with you, Pamba. Raka versus Swami.
Swami Bapa still for me.
Kachileva versus Candice.
Candice. Without a doubt.
Ngara versus Trey Lions.
Trey Lions should be.
Gymkhana versus Ali.
I'd still go Gymkhana, even though I had a little bit doubt in terms of now with the entry of the professional, could maybe change the concept of the game, but I'm still going Gymkhana.
Keep your money safe. Done.
Thank you.
Raka versus Swami.
Pamba, how much are you putting it?
On this one, there wasn't. If there was.
If there was.
Pamba,
If there was.
I see you losing two matches. I see you losing two matches.
You see me losing two matches. Which ones?
Raka Swami. And Sahali Gymkhana.
Remember, it's recorded. It's recorded. Dan, your take. Raka, Swami. Raka. Kachileva, Candice. Ngara, Stray Lions. Gymkhana versus Ali. So for me, I'm picking Raka versus Swami. I'm picking Raka. Kachileva versus Candice. I'll take Candice, obviously. Ngara versus Stray. My mind is telling me to pick Stray. The logical side is saying Ngara. Gymkhana versus Saali. Saali.
So have you gone with the logical or have gone with your mind?
I'm always only confused when Stray are playing. The rest I'm very sure.
So decide. We want to give somebody
I said Ngara. It's only my heart that always goes for Stray Lions.
I see myself getting 2,000.
So guys, thank you very much. That is the end of our discussion today. We meet again after the matches on Sunday to see who has very heavy pockets.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.